Have you ever planted a beautiful, healthy tomato seedling only to watch it struggle, turn yellow, and produce almost nothing? What if I told you that the secret to a mountain of juicy tomatoes has nothing to do with how you dig the hole? Today, we are unlocking the ultimate steps you must take immediately after planting your tomatoes for an abundant harvest and incredibly healthy plants. Most people think putting the plant in the dirt is the finish line, but they are completely wrong. The real magic happens in the first few days after planting. Stick around because step number 7 is going to completely change the way you look at your garden. But first, let me know in the comments, what is the biggest gardening failure you have ever experienced? Do not be shy, we have all been there. Before we dive into the steps, we need to understand exactly what our little green friends are going through. Originally from the warm regions of South America, tomato plants are dramatic creatures that crave heat, stability, and good food. When you buy a seedling from a nursery or grow one on your windowsill, it lives a life of pure luxury. It has perfect temperatures, gentle water, and zero wind. But the moment you take it out of its plastic pot and bury it in the cold garden dirt, the plant goes into massive shock. It is like kicking a teenager out of a comfortable house and telling them to survive in the wild. The roots are disturbed, the sun is blinding, and the wind is terrifying. The steps we take immediately after this traumatic move will determine if the plant survives, or if it thrives and produces 100 pounds of sweet fruit. So you just put your baby tomato plant into the soil. What is the very first thing you need to do? It is all about the immediate watering. But hold on, I am not talking about a quick splash from the hose. We need to talk about deep root watering for easy tomato care. When a plant enters new soil, its roots are stressed and confused. If you just wet the top inch of the dirt, those roots will stay right at the surface. They will become lazy, and lazy roots mean a weak plant that will dry out during the first summer heat wave. You want to water deeply and slowly right at the base of the plant. Imagine you are pouring a glass of water onto a thick, dry sponge. If you pour it all at once, the water runs off the sides. But if you pour it slowly, the sponge absorbs every single drop. That is exactly how your soil works. And let us bust a massive gardening myth right now. Many people think you should spray the leaves to cool the plant down. Do not ever do this. Wet tomato leaves are an open invitation for fungal diseases like blight. Always keep the leaves dry. Water the soil, never the plant. This single habit will save you so much heartache later. Now that the soil is deeply watered, we have to lock that moisture in. This brings us to the absolute magic of mulching. Leaving the soil bare around your newly planted tomatoes is a huge mistake. Bare soil dries out incredibly fast, cracks, and stresses the plant roots. You need to apply a thick layer of organic mulch. You can use straw, shredded leaves, or grass clippings. Think of mulch as a protective blanket for your garden bed. On a freezing winter night, you would not sleep without a heavy blanket. Well, your soil needs that same protection from the blazing summer sun. The mulch keeps the soil temperature cool and even. It also prevents weeds from stealing the nutrients your tomatoes desperately need. There is a common myth floating around that mulch attracts dangerous pests to your vegetable garden. While bugs do live in organic matter, the benefits far outweigh the risks. A healthy, mulched plant is strong enough to fight off minor pest issues. Plus, as the mulch breaks down, it feeds the soil, creating a rich environment for worms. Just make sure to leave a little gap between the mulch and the actual stem of the tomato plant to prevent rot. Let us move on to a step that makes many beginners nervous. I am talking about pruning the bottom leaves. Once your tomato plant is settled in the ground, you need to look at the leaves closest to the soil. If any leaves are touching the dirt, you must snip them off immediately. Why is this so important for healthy tomato plants? Because the soil is full of microscopic spores and bacteria. When it rains, or when you water the plant, those soil particles splash up onto the lowest leaves. That is exactly how terrible diseases start and spread up the whole plant. Imagine you are walking through a deep, muddy puddle in your nicest trousers. You would roll your pants up to keep them clean, right? You are doing the exact same thing for your tomatoes. You are rolling up their pants. You want a clear gap of at least 6 to 8 inches between the ground and the first set of leaves. Use clean, sharp scissors for this simple tomato plant grooming. Do not tear the leaves off with your hands because that can create a jagged wound that invites infection. A clean cut heals quickly and keeps your precious plants safe from soil-borne illnesses all season long. You might be tempted to dump a bunch of fertilizer on your plants right after putting them in the ground. Stop right there. Let us talk about the first feeding and why patience is your best friend. Your tomato plant just went through a major surgery by moving from its cozy pot into the big, scary garden. It needs time to heal. If you hit it with strong chemical fertilizers on day 1, you will burn its delicate roots. You should wait at least 10 to 14 days before applying any heavy feeding. And here is where we need to bust another popular myth. Many folks think that giving tomatoes a huge dose of nitrogen is the secret to a big harvest. Nitrogen makes plants grow tall and green very fast. But we do not want just leaves. We want fruit. Giving them too much nitrogen right now is like feeding a toddler nothing but candy. They will have a lot of energy, but they will not be healthy. Instead, when it is time to feed, use a fertilizer that is high in phosphorus and calcium. Phosphorus encourages strong root development and lots of beautiful yellow flowers. Calcium is the secret weapon to prevent that awful blossom end rot from ruining your tomatoes later. Here is a crucial step that you must do while the plant is still small. We need to set up the support systems for your future massive tomato harvest. Whether you are using wire cages, wooden stakes, or a string trellis system, you have to put it in place right now. Do not wait until the plant is 3 feet tall and falling over. If you try to drive a thick wooden stake into the ground next to a fully grown tomato plant, you will stab right through its main root system. That will shock the plant and stop its growth completely. Think about building a house. You have to put the strong wooden frame up before you put the roof on. Your tomato support is that frame. By placing the cage or stake in the soil right after planting, the roots will naturally grow around it without any damage. As the plant grows, you just gently tie the main stem to your support. Use soft twine or ripped-up pieces of old cotton shirts. Never use wire or tight plastic zip ties because they will cut into the stem as the plant gets thicker. A well-supported plant gets better airflow, catches more sunlight, and can easily carry the heavy weight of 10 big, juicy tomatoes. Now that the plant is supported, we must talk about garden security. I'm talking about inspecting for early pests. The first 2 weeks after planting are the most dangerous time for your tomatoes. They are young, tender, and delicious to every bug in your neighborhood. You need to become a garden detective. Every single morning, grab your cup of coffee and take a slow walk through your garden. Look closely at the underside of the tomato leaves. That is where sneaky pests like aphids and whiteflies love to hide. You are basically the tough nightclub bouncer checking every single person at the door. If you see a few green aphids, do not panic and grab toxic chemicals. You can usually just blast them off with a gentle spray of water from your hose. Or you can mix a few drops of mild dish soap into a spray bottle with water and gently wash the leaves. Dealing with pests while there are only 5 or 10 of them is incredibly easy. If you ignore the plants for 2 weeks, those 5 aphids will turn into 5,000. Catching these tiny invaders early is the ultimate secret to stress-free vegetable gardening and perfectly healthy leaves. Let us dive into a topic that surprises a lot of new gardeners. We need to talk about sun and shade management for your newly planted tomatoes. Yes, everyone knows that tomatoes absolutely love the hot summer sun. But right after they are transplanted, the blazing sun can actually be their worst enemy. If your seedlings were grown indoors or in a greenhouse, their leaves are soft and sensitive. Moving them directly into 8 hours of harsh, direct sunlight will give them severe sunburn. The leaves will turn white, dry out, and crumble. Imagine spending the entire dark winter inside your house and then suddenly lying on a tropical beach for 10 hours with no sunscreen. You would be roasted. Your plants feel the exact same way. If the weather is unexpectedly hot right after you plant them, you need to provide some temporary shade. You can use a piece of light shade cloth or even prop up a piece of cardboard on the sunny side of the plant during the hottest afternoon hours. Do this for just 3 or 4 days. This gentle transition allows the plant to toughen up its leaves and adjust to the harsh outdoor environment without dying. Our next essential step involves making friends in the garden. Let us look at the power of companion planting. You should never plant your tomatoes all alone in a giant patch of bare dirt. They need good neighbors to help them thrive. Right after planting your tomatoes, you should plant some specific flowers and herbs right next to them. The absolute best friends for tomatoes are sweet basil and bright yellow marigolds. Marigolds release a strong scent into the soil that actually repels tiny worms called root nematodes, which love to eat tomato roots. Basil, on the other hand, confuses flying pests with its strong smell. Think of these companion plants as good neighbors who bring you freshly baked pie and watch your house while you are on vacation. There is a bizarre myth that tomatoes need to be strictly isolated from all other plants. That is completely false. In nature, plants grow together in diverse communities. By planting basil and marigolds around the base of your tomatoes, you are creating a tiny, healthy ecosystem. Plus, it looks absolutely beautiful. And you get fresh herbs to cook with your massive tomato harvest later in the season. As your plants settle in over the next few weeks, you have to make a major shift in how you care for them. It is time for the watering schedule adjustment. In the first few days after planting, you watered them quite often to help the roots get comfortable. But if you keep watering them a little bit every single day, you are going to create weak, lazy plants. You need to start stretching out the time between your watering sessions. You want to go from watering lightly every day to watering very deeply just 2 or 3 times a week. This forces the tomato roots to dive deep down into the earth, searching for moisture. Imagine you are training a marathon runner. You do not just let them jog slowly on a treadmill for 10 minutes a day. You make them run long, hard distances to build incredible endurance. You are building endurance in your garden. Deep, infrequent watering creates a massive, strong root system. When the brutal heat of late summer arrives, your plants will not even notice, because their roots will be happily drinking water from deep underground. Just stick your finger into the soil. If it is dry 2 inches down, it is time to water. The final and perhaps most crucial step after planting is learning how to communicate with your garden. I call this observing and listening to the plant. Your tomato plants cannot speak English, but they are constantly telling you exactly what they need. You just have to learn their visual language. If the lower leaves are turning bright yellow, the plant is screaming that it has too much water, and the roots are drowning. If the edges of the leaves are curling inward like a tiny cup, the plant is complaining that the air is too hot and dry, and it is trying to conserve moisture. If the stems turn a dark purple color, it is shivering because the nighttime temperatures are still a bit too cold. Think of your tomato plant like a newborn baby. A baby cries differently when it is hungry, when it is tired, or when it needs a diaper change. As a gardener, you are the parent learning those cues. Take time every evening to just look at your plants. Notice the color of the new growth. Feel the texture of the leaves. By paying close attention, you can fix small problems before they become massive disasters. This connection is the real secret to a glorious harvest. And there you have it, the ultimate blueprint for what to do right after planting your tomatoes. From mastering the deep watering technique and the magic of mulching, to setting up early supports and learning the secret language of leaves. By following these steps, you are not just planting a vegetable, you are building a resilient, powerful plant capable of giving you an astonishing amount of food. The most surprising turn of events is that the less you fuss over them later, the better they do, provided you set the foundation right today. Imagine walking out to your backyard in August, reaching into a towering green jungle and pulling off a warm, perfectly ripe red tomato. That single bite makes all this early effort totally worth it. Thank you so much for watching and growing with us today. If this video helped you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more easy gardening mastery. Now, I have a question for you. Are you going to try the companion planting trick with basil and marigolds this year? Let us discuss it down in the comments below.